Hello everyone and welcome back to Mechabellum. This game is still absolutely amazing and it starts to get a bigger audience as well, which it absolutely deserves. And yeah, what we're gonna do today is jumping into a bit more educational content once more. I promised that I would do more guides and stuff, and what we're gonna do today is a bit of a match analysis of a game I played lately, and gonna look in my choices. I will explain why I did what I did, and yeah, we're gonna see what my opponent did at the same time. I'm gonna react a bit to this as well. So let's jump in here, and let's jump into the replay position. As I was up here against Frankenpower, and at the beginning, I decided for a combo that I really enjoy, which is Phoenix Crawler, especially as Rhino was the third option, and I immediately knew this is a fast combo, this is a combo that can be agile, that can be all over the place, and can be used quite quickly. I still, in the end, went for relatively conservative start here, as I went for 2 more crawlers at the beginning. Obviously, my power turns start after turn 3 when I get the Rhino, and I went for pretty defensive setup, as you can see here, behind our lines, not directly into the enemy's face, as I knew it would be hard to beat the enemy at the beginning, as the enemy had crawlers and had Mustangs, and crawler Mustangs beats our crawlers really easily, as our Phoenixes don't really work against any of these units well at the beginning, so I knew the early rounds would be tough, and I would struggle to win there. Enemy also went for snipers. I never fully got why they did that, but that was the third unit here for their early game composition, so that was another thing to consider. So that meant more crawlers would be good in the mid run as well, as they invested it in. They're starting into more snipers. They had giant specialist, which immediately for me meant that I wanted to focus more on units like the Phoenix, that can deal with giants later on. So I knew I wanted to get more Phoenixes in the mid game, even if it wouldn't be the perfect unit against the enemy composition, because if the enemy transitioned into giants whilst I had enough Phoenixes, I would still be able to beat them, and if I would be a bit too low on Phoenixes, I would struggle there. Early combat actually went better than I expected, as I won here on the right side. I didn't expect them to go for marksmen. If they would have gone for more crawlers or another card of Mustangs, they would have beaten me a bit harder early on. But I guess as a 3-unit combo, having a heavy hitter against single targets and then crawlers as the tanky or like spammy unit and then Mustangs as the anti-small is a decent combo. Like, it's not a bad combo, it's just not fantastic against us. And yeah, this here was really, really tough choice, as if we show the panel here, now it doesn't work anymore. But the choices I had were cheaper crawler upgrades, 50% more income, or the level up upgrade. And I knew I would get a Rhino level 2, and I know that Phoenixes really go well with elite marksmen, so I went for the level, the level up ability. But this was a really tough choice here. Yeah, as you can see, now it shows up again. The 50 cheaper cost for crawlers is nice as well, but I expected the enemy to go into a lot of Mustangs, and then my crawlers maybe not connecting as much, so I didn't go for that. Enemy went for the safe choice and the right choice for their setup in my eyes as well. 50 more income per turn, obviously a great thing as well. Meant that they were able to get rocket or so per turn, more than us. Whilst the intensive training meant that I immediately got Phoenix's level 2 here, meaning that the prospect of giants was less threatening once more. So that was nice. Yes. Yeah, I could have gotten for missile here, but I didn't really expect to win the early games. Last round went decent, so I didn't take too much damage. I knew the power turns would come after turn 3, so I didn't need to win these. I went for a flank here, because my team is all 15 speed, so going all around the block is nice. forcing the enemy to spread out a bit, once we can really keep them busy from everywhere. Also maybe, yeah, forcing their units to go to the right, maybe allowing us to get their turrets. And Rhinos also would be 15 meters per second, or 60 meters per second actually as the speed now, I believe. Yeah, 60 meters per second as they buffed that for all these units. So I wanted to keep the enemy busy on all flanks. Also, Crawlers, good flank unit. And Phoenixes, surprisingly, also a good flank unit. Yes, the ranges here are a bit short, but the Quantum Reassembly, if you spread out your Phoenixes, it doesn't matter if they die on the flank, they will respawn. So, and that will really get the maximum out of Quantum Reassembly because you have spread out Phoenixes all over the place. So if one of your clumps of Phoenixes dies, they will get respawned elsewhere. And that makes Phoenixes a surprisingly strong flanking unit as well. And then Rhinos are obviously a fantastic flank as well. Here the enemy could get cheaper Mustangs. My choice was Incendiary Bombs, as Incendiary Bomb pretty good against all their low hit point targets. Only issue is placing it into a spot where my units don't run into it as well. As we now got the Rhino level 2, pretty strong against most of their stuff. Only the marksman can do something there, but that's why we have the Crawlers around. Crawlers also here starting to get ready for level ups. But yeah, I wanted to keep it busy, the enemy busy, so I instead here went for another flank. They went actually for level 2 units, level 2 Mustangs, as they got them cheaper, so that's nice for them. And I went for another flank here. Really wanted to get them from all sides, keep them busy here. Leveled up some of my Crawlers here as well, because the Crawlers were pretty successful here reaching this turret. And together with the Mustangs, they might, with the Phoenixes, they might be able to push through there again, maybe. And we clumped pretty hard. Yeah, Incendiary Bombs coming into the middle, hoping to deal with the Mustangs there. Most of the Mustangs, though, went to the side. Something that I realized after I took Incendiary, that maybe not the perfect ability went with my Crawlers and so on, but there was nothing really much better there in the options. And I maybe should have gone for just extra cash instead of Incendiary Bombs, but that was still a fair choice here. Could have maybe positioned it better. But in the end, I still won this battle due to my flanks keeping them busy, and then my Crawlers here pushing the turrets quick enough, and the Incendiary Bombs stop allowing these units over here also to run through without being held down. And now I got lucky. The decreased cost to Crawlers was something that I wanted to pick up earlier. Getting it now was fantastic. Enemy could got cheaper Giants here, which most likely would have been what I would have picked, considering that they had the Giant Specialist, but they didn't go for it. But yeah, that meant also I could upgrade these Crawlers here. I already had 8 Crawlers on the battlefield, each of them upgrading now saved $50, and that also meant I wanted to play more with Crawlers, and I considered going for upgrades for them later. For now, I went for Rhino upgrades though, as the enemy didn't have any great anti-Rhino. They had level 1 Marksmen. Like, Marksmen are decent against Rhinos, but not in these numbers. What they did instead though, is going for some Rhinos of their own here on the flank, and started to use missiles. They still had the 50 extra per round, so it's not like they fell behind a lot in economy, but they also, that start of the missile play here meant that they didn't get ahead. Yeah, nobody really placed barriers, because barriers didn't really help either side here, because my units were mostly melee, especially the ones that actually killed something. That's the Phoenixes at this point in the game weren't really a big threat for the enemy, and barriers for me would have just been out of position, so that's why we only see missiles so far. Yes, this missile, pretty good. Stopped my Crawlers here in front, and kept my Rhino somewhat easy to kill off as well. I gave my Rhinos photo encoding to make them quite tanky in the game, keep the enemy busy, allow me to get quicker to the turrets, as those were my goal every time. Trying to break through at one spot, like we did here now, getting these turrets, and with that, getting an advantage in the fights, a massive advantage in the fights. As now the level 3 Rhino is pushing through here with the crawlers. Enemy left flank got completely annihilated after the turret fell, but enemy got through over here. Sniper with more range, pretty strong against the Phoenixes, gets all of them there. And now my units here are slowed down and weakened, so Rhino taking a lot of damage there. Is able to push through itself though. Is able to break the last turret before it falls, and that means that we deal some damage here. Hit point wise, both players at this stage still pretty fine. We have an advantage, but obviously this turn not gonna deal much damage either, especially as the Rhino dies last second. That's a bit unfortunate, but at least we win, we deal some damage. We can go on here. Shields not important, redeployment not too important. Mobilized battleship could be especially an option for my opponent maybe. Not really for us with the Mustangs around. It's decent, but it's too expensive. So the heavy armor it is, especially as we have a level 3 Rhino already. So making that super tanky was nice, as the Mustangs really don't do anything there. And the enemy didn't have enough snipers to really deal with the Rhinos, didn't have any other anti-Rhino unit. And what I would have done in my enemy's shoes here, I would have gotten a giant unit to stop this. Like, any giant unit outside of... Like, yeah, maybe the Fortress, maybe Overlords, maybe a Melting Point even. Obviously, no flames needed here against the Rhinos. And yeah, as the enemy didn't really evolve and my combination worked, I decided to just lean in more into it. As my crawlers got cheap upgrades, I was like, yes, now let's enable them to level up more. And I went for the Impact Drill, giving them 200% more damage, meaning that when they connected with anything, they immediately killed it. As the Mustangs have pretty low hit points, so they were one hits here for most of my crawlers with that upgrade. And that meant that the crawlers leveled more, which was free value at this stage, so really enjoying that. Rhino here, level 3, doing a good job as well. The flanks, not really winning, but they keep the enemy busy, and they need to use missiles here, otherwise they take even longer. And they always allow my units to get into a position where they can deal with the enemy turrets, and that is the massive part here. That's their main job. And yeah, it works out here again. Left flank falls, enemy is still busy over here. As my units push on to the next turret already, they will get this turret first again. But if we speed it up here, we will be able to reach the turret, as we have a really tanky Rhino by now. And we have enough really strong crawlers that one-hit all of these Mustangs as well to completely overwhelm the enemy here. And the enemy needs to find an adjustment to deal with our combination. Now, decent options here all. Wasps, not really. Barriers. We don't have a giant net, so I go for a deployment specialist. Being able to deploy 3 units at a time is quite nice, especially with the strong crawlers. And also with Phoenixes that could go for quantum assembly. As we started to put a couple more Phoenixes down, I expected a giant any moment. And that's where these Phoenixes would have come in really handy. We also went up to level 5 with the Rhino, leveled up to level 4, and then immediately I used the intensive training on it. So this thing, together with the 100% extra hit points now, was an absolute beast to deal with. And the enemy went for level 2 snipers, but that was a bit too little too late here at this stage. As I went in with a lot of Rhinos, a lot of level 4 crawlers. Thanks to the extra damage, they leveled up quite quickly here. Enemy still used rockets on either side, meaning that their economy was worse. The shields were a pretty good idea, especially as my units struggled to destroy them. But we still ran over their left flank quite easily. And yeah, their rhinos never able to connect as well as ours. Whilst the crawlers kept on leveling. And I dealt more damage, leveling up further. Speed, obviously the perfect thing for this combo. Iron, not really helpful. Yes, I had decent amount of phoenixes now. Enemy over here, too clumped as well. That is really risky if the enemy ever has Stormcallers or anything like that, or a good calling ability. It could end in absolute disaster. They went for a shield, so the idea here didn't work out in the end. But yeah, they spent a lot of points here. The idea of the flame, they obviously had to invest there. Their beam though, also not really amazing. 2 rhinos now for the enemy, which is a move that I didn't quite understand. You know, like 2 level 2 rhinos. They really wanted to overwhelm me here, but they already had me there. Went for another one over here. But my rhino there actually won, thanks to the upgrades. But the iron beam here not really getting anywhere. And I was doing good damage here. Rhinos got eliminated. And with that, the game was over. And I got a W. So yeah, pretty solid basic strategy. Works in a lot of combinations like this. You often have to adjust your upgrades. On my Rhinos, I still don't quite have the build I want to. But Rhino, Crawler, Phoenix is a really good basic trio. You can adjust it with Mustangs, with Steel Balls, or similar units. But the basic lineup is really fantastic with these 3, as they got it covered, and our enemy never able to deal with it. The all-around tech doing fantastically there. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. And let me know down below what you want to know about Mechabellum, what kind of content you want to see. For sure, more to come. For sure, some tournament runs and so on. I'm also considering organizing tournaments for Mechabellum, but timing schedule is a bit tough at the moment. Though we will figure that out in the long run as well. So see you next time, guys. Hope you have a great day, and bye-bye.